saw me, and gradually you came to me. And actually I did not try anything for developing this institution. The boys did it. They are all educated, they are not fools. Mr. Howard is MA. He is also BA. He is doctor, PhD, so they are all educated. So they are not fools that they are taking this blindly, Most of my students, they were under the spell of this LSD, but they are given up everything. They're simply living on this chapati and some fruits, and that's all. They don't eat meat, they don't want wine, they don't want cigarette, they don't want tea, coffee, nothing. And they're chanting Hare Krishna, they're following my instruction. So I'm getting good hope.
Yes. Meal is composed of rice and this soup which we call dal, and a combination of vegetables, and the chapati which is made out of whole wheat. You see, it's all vegetable and grain. Sometimes some fruit, there's fruit in the dal. No meat, no animal product, such as eggs. This is because in the Gita, Krishna has told us what he wants us to eat, namely fresh fruits and grains, not animal products. And so we have a very delicious meal here. It's very cheap. It goes a long way. It's quite easy to prepare, and we have a lot of fun.
Essentially, these are foods that are prescribed according to Orthodox Vaishnavite discipline. So these foods are prescribed, but we don't necessarily prescribe them for everybody. The main thing is no meat, fish, and eggs. no meat, fish, and eggs.
Why not?
Well, because in the scriptures it states that certain foods Krishna will accept. So we have to offer our food to Krishna. We have to offer the food that he'll accept. The food that he'll accept is stated as vegetables, fruits, leaves, water. We believe that vegetables have also any life form has a soul, and therefore the murder of a vegetable is not in any way different qualitatively from the murder of an animal. But the thing is that vegetables are our allotment according to Scripture. We can eat certain foods that are given to us to eat by God. If we eat food that's not given to us to eat, that's robbery.
Are there any tasks that you have to perform?
Well, there's no real task. We're here to learn. That's what we're doing, and we also we have jobs to perform to keep the organization running, to keep the word of Krishna being spread.
How do you do that?
Well, we recently purchased a couple of mimeograph machines, and that's helping our printing by word of mouth, by constantly being active.
Do you work?
Yeah, we all work.
Is this kind of like but you meet here every day?
Well, I'm devoting all my time here, so I work here all day. Money has to come in also. Some of us work regular jobs and devote most of our money here, if not all.
Do you feel any different since you returned?
I feel very good. And closer to God.
What introduced you to this work?
A friend of mine told me about Love Celebration at Compton Square Park, which was last Thursday, or Thursday before last. And I knew I had been seeking a guru for a while. So Krishna sent me there, and I was there. And after meeting some of the initiates, I knew that the Swami really had to be into something. So I came the very next morning, and I've been here since then.
I came here in America in September 1965. My mission is to preach the philosophy of Lord Chaitanya, chant chanting Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. This transcendental vibration will cleanse the dirty things of the mind. It doesn't matter what he is. This transcendental vibration is equally appealing to everyone without any question of language, nationality, creed or caste, because it is coming forth from the depth of the soul. This sublime and easy system of yoga, which is called Bhakti Yoga, is approved by all the great acharyas or the religious leaders of India, like Ramanujacharya, Madhyacharya, Vishnu Swami, Nimbarka, and later on Lord Chaitanya. So this is a standard method and recommended in Vedic scripture. This simple vibration can deliver the people of this age to salvation. Human life is meant for getting out of the threefold miseries of this material existence and forgetting their life's aim. They have become too much materialistic, and the result is that actually they haven't got that peace and of mind or peace of the world which they are anchoring. And if they take to these chanting, transcendental vibration, their mind, the darkness of the mind will be clear, and they can clearly see their actual identity as part and parcel of the Supreme Lord and Krishna, and dovetailing their activities in that relationship, everything will be sublime.
I think how we're different from drunk people also is to realize that God is here and in my heart and all over all the time, but we're realizing this consciously. Know these things consciously, not just to accept it once and then enjoy. Know this moment to moment.
Well, I've only tried marijuana, but I've never taken anything else. You might say I was fortunate enough to have my self-realizations and other changes without drugs.
Perhaps Leary and some of the drug followers, they are functioning high on a low level, and we are functioning high, and we are functioning low on a high level. You get that? They're functioning high. They're this feeling, this sensual perception, which is extended so far, but they're enjoying the foods and they're enjoying their incense and colors and all these things. This anybody can do. And we are not enjoying these things, but we are functioning on this high level, on the level of God.
But we must consider ourselves as the gopis, so that we can love Krishna that much more, that we devote our whole lives to Krishna, and we must consider ourselves as females, you see.
But let's be careful. It takes many lifetimes of perfection to get to be a gopi.
Yeah.
One has to be the supremely developed, perfect in perfection to be able to qualify as a gopi. This is the ultimate.
But the reason that one of the people mentioned before that being feminine is that when the masculine love and the feminine are love, and that you are feminine so that you can be loved by Krishna.
Well, does this have anything to do with being celibate, or this has to do with
sexual?
that the supreme being, of course, is male because he is Purusha, as they say in Sanskrit. That is, he is the origin, he is the creator. He is the seed, he plants the seed in the material universe of which we are the result. Therefore we are the feminine, whole material creation. He is the Supreme Father. That has nothing to do with it. I may be, I may not be. This has nothing to do with it.
I just came in and I was tired, and they said, "You're tired, go to sleep, lay down here."
You mean it's your first day? And this is your first chanting session?
Yeah, this is the first time I've been into it at all.
I came about the 1st of August. Ray was here a little earlier, I believe.
I came around the middle of August.
And then others, of course, have come within the last week.
Right.
But one thing which usually happens, those who come like this, they come and they just never go. Once you come, you stay. Because the Swami has something which you were looking for.
The first thing they did for us was give us our method of chanting, which is so powerful that it will work for anyone. In other words, you don't need to be one person in a million who can really be successful in meditation yoga, where you have to spend years at that discipline without getting any place and then finally achieve it. Our method is so powerful that it will work for anyone in 2 days.
Should I bow down when I don't feel anything? Should I say these words when I don't feel anything? He says yes, because this is a training. See, you want to train yourself, and this is the most important. And then you'll gradually just fall right into it if you work hard at it. You must go. You must practice, and this is the main thing. And then you'll become entrapped in it.
So how about now? Do you feel silly?
Oh, excuse me?
Do you feel uncomfortable?
Oh no, I see all this practicing and work was, it just had to be done in order to where I am now.
Anyone who chants Hare Krishna, have you got the whole chant?
That's a special evocation, just the same as we're all sitting here. But if I call Stanley, that's not the same as calling you. But if I call your name, then that shows my attention is riveted on you. So by riveting our attention on Krishna, we are able to use. In other words, if I meditated on the word Raymond, that wouldn't be the same. The word Krishna is God. The word Raymond, at least in my house, I said the word Raymond. It's not.
Well, you have to concentrate on the words. You have to be sincere with the words. You have to surrender yourself to these words. And through this takes practice. It's not done in one session. This takes time. It took me maybe 4 sessions before I began to even chant. You see?
What happens when you do chant, when you're in it?
Well, that's hard to explain. I guess each person has a different reaction, but you just seem to open up. It seems as something flies out of you. It's like a door opens. It slowly opens, so finally it's open, and then you walk into the unknown. But the unknown is beautiful. This unknown.
Well, you have every muscle of your body engaged in the exercise. You're singing, you're dancing, your mind is fully engaged in thinking about God. And what more can there be? This is the full aim of any kind of yoga. It's to concentrate the energy to a point. And in this kirtan, your energy is concentrated on one point, God. Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare Hare. What more could you want?
PhD for spiritual realization, expanded consciousness. I was interested in staying high forever, as it were, maintaining an awareness of the universe that was flowing through me and past me at every second of my life. He says, that's not necessary. He said, your spiritual life is already here. He said, you don't need to take anything for your spiritual life. And I knew he was right. And he had that exalted state of consciousness. I sensed it. And I knew he didn't take anything. And I knew that I wanted this state of consciousness, and that he could teach it to me.
Krishna consciousness is nothing but the moment-to-moment realization that nothing is yours. Either anything you use in this world, or your body, or even your mind. Krishna is our Divine Father, the one Lord. Doesn't make any difference what you call him, Allah, Muhammad, or Buddha, or Jehovah, Christ. There's only one. Krishna is our Father. All things are his, and we have happiness, true happiness, when we use all things for him.
I practice my Krishna consciousness by chanting when I work and on my way to work. And this is what we ask all good people, to try chanting. Try it when you wake up in the morning. Try it on your way to work on the subway. I know I chant every day on the way to work in the subway, and other people are kicking and shoving. I'm chanting, and I enjoy my subway rides.
All glory to the assembled devotee. All glory to the assembled.
And now we are going to go uptown to St. Mark's Place to do our kirtan and spread joy and peace to the people of New York. We invite all our friends to join us. Hare Krishna. Hare Rama.
Krishna Padam Sagana Lalita Sri Vishakanitam Sri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Sri Advaita Gadadhar Sivasadi Gaurabhakta
So it's 8:30 as of now. But then we have class questions at this time. Although Janardhan Prabhu had mentioned there's some delay in his making breakfast, and he probably won't finish until 9. So those who would like to continue watching, the video will play. Others, feel free. You don't really chant at this time if you're ready.
attract none.
The world.
There you go.
He had plans of doing this.
Look at that.
And when I go to Bombay and I see that great big
I just
auditorium, I
pressed that
go,
little thing.
you know, he said he was going to do this.
I don't know something.
It's just like if I'm a pauper and I tell you I'm going to build Disneyland. And that's what it was like. But I never disbelieved anything he said. I just listened. I was just always like listening to him.
Yeah,
and
so
he
all the
liked
other
to
ones
talk
were
about what he was going to do. And he talked about many things.
New York,
Now this painting, which was done by Jadaran, is a painting of Vrindavan.
That's nice.
It's the Madan Mohan Temple. This is one of the first paintings that Jadharani did. And it's Madan Mohan. Madan Mohan Temple that Sanatana Goswami erected for the first deity in Lord Chaitanya's movement. Prabhupada would give her a picture and she would copy that into a painting. Prabhupada, he hung it right above his head. He sat underneath this. So it's the first Western connection, you might say, with Vrindavan. And here's the personification of Vrindavan sitting there.
I did this painting, and then Prabhupada was going back to India in July of '67. And we were all devastated that he was going. But then he looked at this picture and he said, if you look at this picture, then we'll all be together, even though I'm in India. And if you chant Hare Krishna, then we're all packed up tight, even though I'm in India and you're here.
And of course, everybody was a brand new devotee. And nobody really knew much of anything. So there was also a lot of nonsense going on, and there, fighting and things like that. So I became disturbed, and I went to see Prabhupada to complain about some of the things that devotees were doing. And Prabhupada said to me, if you don't like what they are doing, then you set the example. A little later, I again went to see him to complain about devotees, and Srila Prabhupada said, what do you want from them? They are trying to serve Krishna. And the third time was in 1972, I think. I was living in San Francisco, and I wrote Prabhupada a letter just complaining about so many things. And Prabhupada wrote me back, I complain people who do bad things and they're the example and this and that. And Prabhupada said, who said that they're an example? He said, anyway, what are you doing? All you're doing is making money and spending it on your own household life. And he ended the letter and said, the whole movement is meant for... Because I had said, I don't understand this movement. Prabhupada said, you have been with me for so many years and you still don't understand. When will you understand? He said, the whole movement is meant for service.
Here's the Jagannath deities that Shyam Sundar made. He made 4 sets. When Prabhupada came to the airport, we had to collect the baggage. We walked over to the baggage place where the baggage came out. These big wooden crates came. Prabhupada pointed, there was his suitcase, but then he said also, these wooden crates. Of course, we had no idea what was in them. Neither did we ask. And we brought the crates back. So these crates were in the next room, and Prabhupada told us to go and open the crates. So we went and opened the crates, and there were these Jagannath deities. But we had never seen Jagannath in New York, because Jagannath came from San Francisco, Puri. Just as Prabhupada made Vrindavan in New York, he made San Francisco Puri. So we look at these Jagannath deities, we can't figure out, I mean, it's not Krishna. What is it? And then somebody was saying, making jokes that these look like North American Indian. It's a totem pole. And there's 3 parts to the totem pole. So we were trying to figure out which one is on top, which one is in the middle, which one's on the bottom to make the totem pole. That's what we were thinking. There's the ladder that I was painting the apartment with. I didn't quite finish. And then Prabhupada walked in and he saw us, and we were like joking, like, wow, this is really far out, an Indian totem pole. And then Prabhupada said, this is Lord Jagannath, the Lord of the universe. Bow down. And everybody, boom, hit the floor. That's how Prabhupada introduced Jagannath worship. So those deities were worshipped, but we had drunks coming into the storefront and so on. It wasn't proper to have them available or vulnerable, you know. So we kept them in the apartment and worshipped there.
So about a week or so before Prabhupada arrived, I put up hundreds of these flyers all over the city on lampposts and billboards and in stores and any place I could, advertising Prabhupada's Bhakti Yoga and Bhagavad Gita classes.
Prabhupada always had his trunk as his desk. Wherever we went, he had his Indian trunk, and all of his stuff would fit in it, and then we would move to another city. And then whenever we got to whatever room we were going to be in, then I would take all his stuff out of his trunk and arrange his room, and his trunk was his desk. That was just how we lived. It was normal. And he would sit on the floor. So I would commonly spend 2-3 hours a day sitting in front of him taking dictation of letters, because often Prabhupada would just talk. But you see, there weren't so many letters in those days. There were maybe 10 a day, sometimes less. And so there was time, and he would talk about everything. Trains and buses, and which is better, trains or buses, about tigers, about all kinds of things. He would sit and talk. One of the sweetest times was in the evening when Gorsinder would give him massage, because all the work for the day had been done. And I would sit at the doorway and listen. We were like a family. It was just, he used to say, we've become just like a family. He used to tell me, my mother died at an early age. Krishna has sent you to be my mother. And actually, I was only 21 years old, or 20 years old, and he was the age of my grandfather, because he was in his 70s. When I would rent an apartment for him, I would just tell the landlord I'm getting it for my grandfather.
Once they called him he was coming, and Jadharani, who was not much of a cook, asked him if he would be eating before he came, or whether they should have something for him to eat when he arrived. And so Prabhupada said, I am just like a cow. I can eat in one pasture and then eat in another pasture also.
That's Damodar offering obeisances with the camera. See, that's devotional filmmaking.
During that Boston trip, almost every week, new faces used to show up from New York. All the New York devotees would come up, Brahmananda, Rai Rama, Rupanuga. And the Boston temple had always been a small temple, like 3 people, 2 people, 5 people, 6 people, but never more than about 5 or 6. But during Prabhupada's visit there, it was just packed with mostly New York devotees. I remember the day after the Brahmin initiation, we all went on a walk. I was also there. And I quipped, Boston Brahmins. Yes, Boston Brahmins. There were 6 of us that got sacred thread in the first initiation, 6 men, and no women. Then they raised a fuss, and they didn't show up. They were so angry that they weren't going to get second initiation. They didn't come.
Gursinder really wanted this Gayatri mantra, so he talked to Prabhupada about it. He was reading all kinds of things, and so Prabhupada agreed to give him Gayatri mantra and give him second initiation. And so I met him on the street, and he had his hair all shaved off. That really bothered me. But that night he had the Gayatri mantra initiation, and I was upset, because he was going to give Gursinder a mantra, but he wasn't going to give it to me. So I felt very left out. So when it came time to go for the initiation ceremony, I said, well, I'm not feeling very well, so I'm not going to go. I was pouting. And then after they left, I thought to myself, what am I doing? I don't want to be not there. So I ran out the door and ran the 10 blocks all the way to the temple and burst into the temple. And Prabhupada was sitting there giving the initiation, and he looked up and he said, Govinda Dasi, I was wondering how you could stay away. You love to hear me speak so much. Because he wanted me to come. But I was mad. I was very upset about this. And so because I was a little upset, he decided that the girls also should have Gayatri mantra. Radharani was more upset. And so he gave us initiation the next evening with the Gayatri mantra, because he knew that in this country the girls and the boys are educated in the same way.
On this particular day, he took us downtown, where he went when he first got off the Jaladuta boat, because the captain was doing some shopping, so he took Prabhupada. Prabhupada was pointing out different places that he remembered. And the next day, Prabhupada took all the devotees for a tour of where he first landed. I was in the back and I ran up so that I could walk right next to him. And he turned to me and he said, if the jackals glorify you, what's the benefit? In other words, don't try and get material glorification. And then he said, because, the nature of any big city is that things are being broken down and things are being built up. He said, building and breaking. So we have to stop this building and breaking, and we have to break with Maya and build with Krishna.
Prabhupada would arrive, I think, by taxi. But in the meantime, the devotees were chanting in the temple there at 95 Glenville Avenue, deep in kirtan. And there would be all this frankincense. The whole room was full of smoke. When Prabhupada would come in, we were literally in ecstasy. You cannot conceive of the impact that Prabhupada had on us. Prabhupada's every move and every gesture, he was just floating in ecstasy. And we could perceive that bliss that Prabhupada was in. And I remember he got up on the Vyasasana and he said, the secret is to be praying while we're chanting the name of Krishna. Please, Krishna, just place me in the society of your service.
All along, everyone knew him as Swamiji. This is up until May of 1968. And so Gorsinder decided he wanted to call me Govindaji, and so he asked Prabhupada, and Prabhupada said, no, actually G is a third-class form of address. It's better not to call her Govindaji. So I piped up, I was sitting right in front of it, and I said, well, if it's a third-class form of address, why are we calling you G? Why are we calling you Swamiji? And he said, it's not very important. I said, oh no, it's very important. If it's a third-class form of address, then we don't want to call you that. We want to call you the most first-class form of address. So tell us what would be a good name for us to call you by. And he was very humble, very reluctant. But I pressed him. We've got to change this. And he said, you can call me Gurudev or Guru Maharaj or Prabhupada. So I said, well, that's 3. We need 1. And so I said, well, which one is the best? And he answered, Srila Prabhupada is nice. That is the best. So I said, from today, you will be called Srila Prabhupada. And so I told all the devotees. Some of the devotees didn't like it because it kind of is a tongue twister, Prabhupada. And Swamiji kind of flows more easily. But we gradually started calling him Srila Prabhupada from that time.
How long do you think it will take to watch all of them? You sat here from
A total of about 15 people who immediately after the festival moved into the temple in San Francisco. The temple was just a very narrow storefront with